Hey, what's going on, everybody? So last night we had round four Anaheim to the Triple Crown with Futures and KTM Jr. were there, but it was a great race. I think it was probably the best race so far this year. It's not hard considering we've only had two dry races. But a couple quick notes here. I think Jason Wygant Weege did a great job in the booth and probably should just stay in the booth for the remainder of the year. One note is the best race of the night was probably the 250 Futures between Davies and Towers. They battled back and forth for quite a few laps, flipped the position for first a few times, and then finally Davies was able to hold off Towers at the last two turns, and it was hands down the best race of the night. And then an important note too is that Jason Anderson was docked one position for gaining an advantage in the third race when he crashed and he kind of went too fast past the second set of whoops, which is where he crashed at, which he kind of did. I noticed it too. I thought there was going to be something about it. Sure enough, the AMA docked him one position. 250 class. So in race one, he had Kitchen. He gets out front early, and then RJ tries to track Levi down. But as fast as RJ looked, he was unable to pass him. And so Levi wins that race one. Jordan Smith had a terrible start. Really had a championship ride and worked his way up to fourth, but not at the start that he wanted. And then Thrasher looked really good. And Joe had another terrible start. Actually ended up catching Jordan Smith somehow. Well, Jordan Smith went around him on the outside and it caught like his back end or something and it caused him to go down. Then in race two, you had Thrasher and Smith crash off the start, which is more problems for Smith. And then Smith crashed again later on in the race. RJ got the lead. Levi, he pressured him quite a bit and even into the last turn. But RJ was able to stand him up in the last turn and get away with the race win. And the Shimoda had a strong finish too, finishing in third. In race three, it looked like Levi was going to lead him into that first rhythm section, and then he tried to jump up on the step up through that left-hander and almost looped out, which would have been really bad because then he would have been all the way in the back of the pack. But he just kind of cruised around Nate Thrasher, who Nate Thrasher rode extremely well and ended up getting the win. RJ was making some passes, and he probably wasn't going to catch Levi because Levi had a pretty good gap between him and RJ. But RJ somehow ends up crashing. Maybe he was pushing too hard. There was really no need for it, and then he just had to settle for really like seventh place. I think is where he ended up in race three. But yeah, just unnecessary. Doesn't need to make those kind of moves, especially because just the wrong crash. He lands awkwardly, and then he's out for the season. Not a way you want to end it. So he just needs to tame that back and just accept the position that he can get. Joe Shimoda worked his way up to second. A good ride by him, and Smith had a decent ride in fourth. Didn't have any crashes that race. So in the 250 class now, you had Levi Kitchen, who looked absolutely amazing last night. Really looked like he could potentially go out there and win this championship, and he really showed that he can hang with RJ. So he had the same speed as RJ. He was able to really take it to him that second race. He almost caught him and passed him. So I think it almost looks like RJ and Levi Kitchen are going to be the two fastest riders now in the 250 West class. It'll be interesting to see if Levi can keep it up. I hope so. And we'll see how he enjoys that Monster Energy Kawasaki. And then RJ, he showed a lot of speed in that first moto, and in the second moto, he showed a lot of speed too. We know he has this. The crash really didn't affect his points too much because him and Levi both had a pretty good gap when they had three. Their score was 3 going into that third main. But like I said, he needs to watch out. He doesn't need to push the envelope and crash if he doesn't have to, because he made another crash. He crashed last week in San Diego. He crashed this week. It's just one bad crash or just the wrong crash in an awkward way, and that he could be done for the season. So hopefully he can stay on two wheels, and we'll see how he rebounds and probably gets a win here when they come back from the break. Jordan Smith had a terrible night, and this is kind of the plague that's been on him for like the last few years, is that he's had speed, but then he ends up crashing and throwing away tons of points. And we saw this again. Hopefully he can rebound. I don't think he's quite shown the same speed that RJ and Levi have shown, but who knows? Maybe he'll get a long set of whoops because his whoop speed is insane. He's gonna need a rebound when they come back for sure. And this is kind of a night to forget for him. But with that being said, he is still tied for the points lead. Still has the red plate. Nate Thrasher looked really good, especially in that last one. I'm not sure how hard Levi was actually going to push to try to pass him, or if he was just using him to kind of pull him around the track, because he didn't need to pass Nate. But Nate he looked good in a couple of the mains, so it was good to see him back and showing that he can race outside of the mud. Joe Shimoda, it is painful to watch this season because he has so much potential. Really one of the title favorites going in, and he just cannot get a start. Hopefully he'll come back, he'll get some starts, but I mean 30 points down, and they're like 4 out of 9 rounds complete. He's got to make up a lot of points in a hurry, and probably need some help in the East-West showdown, but hopefully he can maybe just at least get a start and get a couple of wins to build some confidence back up, but it's been a very tough season for him. And now for the points, the big thing here is you get Jordan Smith and Levi Kitchen, who are now tied. So Jordan had a terrible night, but at least he still has the red plate. He's sharing it with Levi, which I would be a little bit concerned if I was Jordan because of the speed Levi has been showing. And then you have RJ, who's only 8 points behind, which is not a lot of points, but he has to be careful that he does not have like a nasty get off and lose a ton of points in one race, like he's shown to do quite a few times, and he's shown it this year as well. I would like to see Levi and RJ out front battling for a full 15-minute main. I think that would be really exciting, and I'd like to see if Jordan can just increase his speed a little bit, and then stay off the ground. Jordan needs to stay off the ground, stay healthy, and hopefully it could come down to like a three-way battle for first in the points, and it would really be a good championship. Now in the 450 class, and like I said, Anderson got docked one position, but he looked phenomenal. In race 1, we had Jett. He went down the first rhythm lane. I know Ricky said it looked like his whole shot device was down, but when I looked back and looked at it, definitely didn't. It looked like he just kind of maybe thought he was going to run into Malcolm and went a little too far left, got off balance, ended up hitting that tough block and going over the bars. That's what I thought. There's different ways you could kind of see how that crash happened. Either way, going down the first run of the lane did not bode well for him, but he fought his way back up to 7th. Chase, he kind of got out front early and cruised to victory. He looked really good in race 1. And Webb looked pretty good in second. Tomac ended up having to fight through the pack kind of as well, not getting a good start. I think he had the fastest lap of the race, and Jett was second fastest, and he finished 6th right in front of Jett. And then Ken Roxon had a good ride, and Jason Anderson as well had a really good ride. Going into race 2, Cooper Webb got the start, but then Jason Anderson was just putting the pressure on early and got around him. And he just kind of broke free. Had a great ride, showed some 2022 Jason Anderson on that Kawasaki, and he looked phenomenal. Sexton got a terrible start and must have had some terrible luck somewhere because he ended up finishing in 11th, which was really disastrous for his night. And then Tomac had a rough race as well, but he was able to work his way up the pack quite a bit. And then Jett finished in 3rd. Once he kind of got up to 3rd, that was kind of it for him for his charge. Couldn't really catch the front pack. I mean, he did get up there right behind Cooper near the end, but I'm sure Cooper and Anderson, they were both kind of managing the race at that point. And then race 3 is where things get exciting for me because Tomac, he gets out front early. He squeezes past Sexton and Freezy on that first rhythm lane, and then he just puts a gap on everybody. He puts it out to like just over 4 seconds. Poor Ken, he crashed in the first turn. Jason then crashes right before the second set of whoops, and then like I said, he gets on the bike and he kind of goes way too fast. Well, not way too fast, but it was noticeably faster when he went through the right side of the whoops, just on the ground. But Jason did charge up his way to finish 7th in the race, and he looked really good and was really pushing it. The most disappointing thing to me was seeing Chase kind of let Jett by pretty easily. I mean, he didn't put up a fight. I don't know if Chase just really wasn't that comfortable and just didn't want to force making a mistake or anything, but he lets him by and then doesn't even like hang on to him. I thought that maybe he's gonna let him by and try to learn some lines from him, but he did not keep up with him at all. Kind of got fortunate that Jett ended up crashing at the end, which goes now into Jett. So Jett works his way up to 2nd, passes Chase, and you could see him looking for Tomac as they were starting to go through that finish line at the end of that lap. And you see him look for him, and then I thought that he was going to try to put the hammer down and see if he could catch him, and I think he was trying to, but he never could get the gap down lower than 3.5 seconds. I mean, Tomac looked really good. And then at the end, his line in the right side of the whoops, it was a little sketchy coming out, but he somehow, when he was jumping it, just kind of cooked off to the right. Took a big hit on his side there. You can see he was kind of holding it when he went off the track. And that was disastrous for him because he ended up losing a spot to Sexton and Plessinger and kicked him all the way up down to 6th just on that last lap crash. 6th overall for the night, so he lost a lot of points. And he had like probably like 3 seconds on Sexton at the time, so it's not like he had to. He could have gone through the whoops a little bit more methodically, picked his way through that last lap. I'm not too sure why he kept going on that right side because he had a few sketchy moments the entire night on it. But, I mean, it happened. There's nothing he can do about it now. And we'll see how he rebounds. For the 450 class points and wrap up, Aaron Plessinger, he's got the points lead. He's remaining consistent, and with the Anderson docking, it put him onto the podium. Yeah, Chase Sexton, who's 4 points back, looked really fast in qualifying, but he just did not look the best after. He looked good in race 1, but then after that, race 2 and 3, he did not look the best. I'm assuming that he's still not 100% gelling with the bike yet, but we'll kind of see. And then something I didn't know is that Aaron Plessinger said that they only rode once this past week. And I don't know if him and Chase only rode once this week, but I feel like hopefully he probably needs to get some more time on the bike, especially if he's not that comfortable. But we'll see how his speed increases throughout the next couple rounds. Cooper Webb, he's 6 points back. He actually was sick this week too, and you really noticed it after that final podium interview. But he managed to pull out a strong ride and get the win this weekend. It also explains why he looked like he just didn't quite have the speed or wasn't putting up as much of a fight as he normally would. But what a ride, 6 points back. He's really into this championship. Now, Jett Lawrence, he is 8 points back now. Triple Crown format strikes him again. He's dealt with some backlash as well from this prior week's events. I thought he was going to try to track down Eli. He just never even got close to him. And threw away a lot of points. He actually looked like he was going to be taking the red plate into Detroit, but that crash cost him a lot of points, and now he's 8 points back. Eli Tomac's 10 points back, so he gained a little bit of points, and he showed speed. That's the big thing. Had the fastest lap in race 1, and then in race 3, he pulled away from Sexton and didn't let Jett catch him. So hopefully he can start getting some better starts going. It's good to see that he still has that dog in him. Jason Anderson, 13 points back. He showed a lot of speed as well tonight. He just looked really comfortable on the track and on the bike and was pushing pretty hard. If he got a better start in that third race, I would say he probably wins the entire thing, the Triple Crown. So good to see him back. And if I'm Jett, I'd be a little concerned too because he's got some speed and I don't think he showed all of it in Anaheim 1, so I'd watch out for that. Dylan Ferrandez, just another consistent, solid ride. Ken Roxon, disappointing again. Had a good first race, and then just not the best in race 3. Ended up getting lapped, which is really unfortunate. Justin Barsha, he got to go out in the Ecto 1 for the Ghostbusters promo. Hopefully he can start picking it up a little bit. It's a stacked class, though, so... I mean, it's just that gas team hopefully can get something going. That's the same with Malcolm Stewart. Didn't see too much of him as far as broadcast goes, so I don't know if he just kind of was staying where he was at, if he was able to push, what was his lap times. But this time it looks like he stayed off the ground, which was good. But hopefully he can show some of that qualifying speed that he has in the mains. Jorge Prado, who decided to race Anaheim 2, it was good for him. He said in a post-race interview that everybody had the intensity was really high, and the pace was just a little too fast for him. But he made some progress, and he was happy with it, and that's good. So he can go home not only happy, but he goes home healthy, which is big because Supercross is really dangerous and it can bite you quick. So it's good for his upcoming season that he's going back healthy, and we'll see if he comes back. And this was my wrap-up. Please let me know if you guys like it and what your thoughts were in the comments below. Leave a like and subscribe.